Hey, good evening, guys. My Macho Dad here, checking in. Right on. We're talking radios tonight. Um, Not a specific radio, but I'm gonna, for demonstration purposes, show you the radio that we use in our trips, and that's these Motorola. Well, they look like this. I think they're 35-mile range Motorola ones. Um, these are waterproof. It says here waterproof as well. I believe these float. I don't know if I've tested it or not, but anyways, they are waterproof. Um, so these do a couple things for you. But the first thing I want to say, so that if anybody needs to cut out, I want to hit on the first and most important thing first is these function as a weather radio. So you get the NOAA weather report wherever you're at. So I'm going to turn this on. Okay. Okay. Make sure you've got fresh batteries in this before you go on your trip. Okay. Ready? Push your power button right here. Hold it down, I mean. Yeah, see? Okay. Now there's this little storm cloud thing right here. I'm just going to hold this down.
Saturday night and Sunday, partly cloudy. Lows 15 to 19. Highs in the upper 40s. Sunday night through Tuesday, partly cloudy. Lows in the lower 30s. Highs in the lower 50s. And now for the marine portion of the forecast. Synopsis. Low pressure of 29.6 inches.
So I'll turn this off.
Well north of Lake Superior working.
Okay. So you get the gist, right? It picks up on your location. And yes, if you guys know what I'm saying, know where you're at, and there is a difference between the weather report on Lake Superior and the boundary waters. Absolutely. Like, not just nuance, like, absolutely. But it should list that. And I will say this, guys. I will tell you this right now. The reason I'm posting this video is because basically one trip we had an experience. I don't know what would have happened if we didn't have this, but I like to think that we would have been in really, really bad shape if we had not gotten the information from this trip. Before I get on that and get dramatic, if you're on a trip, you got multiple canoes. It is nice, especially like if you're fishing, if you're scouting out campsites or portages or whatever. Like, just being able to communicate efficiently is huge. So if you divide and conquer, and one group goes over here fishing, one group goes over here, for example, and you're trying to find the walleyes or the trout or something like that, and one guy finds them, you're ready over the other boat. Okay, if one boat's over on the other end of the lake, they can radio and say, hey, we're out of iodine tablets. Hey, we just tipped our canoe, guys. Okay, come over and get us. There's a lot of things that these can do, especially if they're waterproof, right? Okay, so back to why it was so important for us to have one of these on a trip a few years back, where we were just one canoe. We brought it, and in the morning we were having our coffee, and in the afternoon we're having our snack or our lunch. We just want to flip it on, see what's going on. Or in the evening, we're having dinner, want to see what the weather's going to be like maybe overnight. We'd flip it on, pick up where we're at, and one particular night we were on a campsite in Wednesday Bay, Crooked Lake, north end of that. It's kind of a long north to south lake, and we were at the north end of the lake. You couldn't have asked for better weather. I mean, it was just gorgeous. It was not a cloud in the sky, no wind. Just laced up the walleye that day, and we had finished cooking and cleaning up our dinner. And we're gonna have a couple, have whiskey and just fish from shore and just kind of hang out, get a fire going. Nothing big. So we flipped this on, and all we hear is persons of the boundary waters take shelter immediately. And there was some more details and stuff. That was the gist, and it just kept cycling. And and they started listing lakes, and 75 to 100 mile per hour winds coming through. And I'll fast forward, and we had 20 minutes. We were on one of those lakes, and we had 20 minutes, which was enough time for us to find kind of a bomb shelter, for us to get our. The tent was fine. The tent was secure. A marmot tent is, that was bomb proof. We got the tarp down. We got all the gear, in our bomb shelter. We got ourselves in the bomb shelter, and that storm hit like a wall of hate. It was just a wall of wind. Trees were falling down around us. There was one tree that almost took my buddy out, who was 20 feet away. You see these 100-foot pine trees just crashing. And so I don't want to freak anybody out. That was like the one trip out of, I'm 39. I don't know. I think I've been on, 10 plus trips, canoe trips. That was pretty serious. That was the most serious weather event that we had that freakishly. But I'm just gonna say that, like, having this on there, that was really nice. And I think we would have survived had we not had this. But I also think that our whole camp would have been torn to shit, just ripped to shit. And we would have spent a lot of time, picking that up, finding gear, picking up the trash. And this channel is all about, again, making the most of that free time. So we were able to hunker down, if you will, during this horrible storm. Our canoe got flipped in the middle of the lake, and that's its own saga. I'm not going to talk about that. The 550 cord did not, double line 550 cord. The canoe just snapped. The line just snapped, and it flew 100 feet in the air, landed in the middle of the lake, and we're just sitting there, holding our whats, and we're like, oh. Luckily, there was an anchor. We had a rope tied to the keel with a carabiner at the end of it for, wrapped around a tree, and it got snagged. We found it in the morning. Like, we thought we were out on a boat that night. We got really drunk, and because what are you gonna do? The next morning, dude's taking a piss, looks down the shoreline, sees a little bit of the canoe flickering up in the water. Turns out that a carabiner had got hooked in a rock down there, okay, from the rope, and we ended up getting the boat and everything. But that's kind of a sidetrack. Everything, if we hadn't lost the boat, everything else worked out fine because we had this. Okay, we kept the wood dry, we kept the tents, everything we kept fine. All right, and I want to, again, forget about that canoe flying up like a kite. Like, the whole point of this channel is to maximize that amount of time that you're spending fishing and doing all that stuff. And if you can avoid some bullshit, like some bad weather, or having to pick up your camp or whatever, like, do that. This weighs nothing, and if you got a couple of boats and you're able, it's in your budget to get a couple of these things, my goodness, these things save time. Oh boy. All right, guys. Wow. 9 minutes. We're gonna cut it short. Ridiculous.